We're here for our BAPS inspired stories, and today we are joined by Yogin Patel, who actually is on the ground in Pasadena during the Southern California fires. We thought this was very relevant to bring him on because what he is doing, what BAPS Charities is doing, and what all the individuals in that area are doing is truly inspiring. So, Yogin, tell us where you're at and what's been going on in your life this week.
So I'm in Pasadena, California, close to the Eaton fire. Like many of you guys are probably following on the news. There's about 14,000 acres burned, only about 3% contained right now. It really just took off. I mean, Tuesday, I was putting my girls to bed around 7:30, and I went to go close the blinds in the room, and I saw a flickering like light in the distance in the mountains that are behind our house, and I was just like, is that someone's light or is that a fire? And so then I started opening up other windows to try to just like check it out, and it was really windy. So when I opened up the window, I was just like had to close it right away because all this like debris was coming inside the house. And so then I went back to the window that I originally opened, and then I saw it again, and then now it was like a longer line. It was flickering even more, and I was like, matter of minutes. And so then I was like, oh, I think a fire just broke out here. We're in the middle of 80 to 100 mile per hour gusts right now. It was like a windstorm, what they call a wind wave, I think. And it was just nuts. And then after that, we're like, okay, now we got to turn on the news. We put the girls to bed. Obviously, they saw a reaction, so they're a little worried. But we assured them that everything would be okay, and we'd wake them up if if
Are you
anything were to
still in your
happen.
home right now,
Yeah, we're still in our
or
homes.
been
Yeah.
evacuated as well?
Yeah, so then we turn on the news. We're downloading apps that, the county and the city are telling us to follow, or they're giving us up-to-date news. And then all of a sudden, we're starting to see neighborhoods like around us just go red, which means evacuate and go, and then yellow, which means get ready to go. And so then my wife and I were like, okay, if any of the neighborhoods around us become yellow, then we're leaving because that means that we're going to turn yellow very soon, maybe even turn red, and we're going to have to get out of our houses. We're just going to be displaced. I'd rather us leave not in a panic than leave in a panic and in that type of situation, especially overnight. Because now we're talking about this is about like 9:30 now. We've been watching the news for a couple hours. We're following everything on social media, on these apps like Watch Duty. And so then we just made the decision, like as soon as the neighborhood 2 blocks from us, like there's a major street called Lake Avenue, which a lot of the newscasters have been reporting from. As soon as that side of the street went yellow, we're like, okay, we're going, just threw a bunch of stuff into our bags, and then the last thing we did is got the girls up, obviously because it's hard to wake them up like 10:30 in the middle of the night. They're probably deep sleep, and then packed up our bags and whatever we could grab, and then headed towards my parents, which is about 45-50 minutes east of here.
So that's where you are right now. You're talking to us from your parents' house.
No, I'm
That's
actually at
wild.
my house. Yeah,
You
I'm actually
are
at my
okay.
house. Yeah, I returned just now because we did a donation drop off down in a neighborhood, and so we stopped by to check out the place. And just very recently, like on the way here, we were listening to I think it was like about 4 o'clock Pacific. There was the county supervisor, Pasadena Fire, Pasadena Police, and everybody was giving a briefer, like a news conference type thing. We're listening to them, and they just cleared up the evacuation notices for some of the areas, including mine. Although the smog and air quality is very bad. Not sure if I want to bring my littles back quite yet. There's ash everywhere. Like you can't even touch a door handle without getting your hand just like covered in some gray, like, dusty stuff. So it's pretty bad. It still looks like a war zone out there.
Yeah,
Like a
that's wild,
grayish
man. Because
sky.
when we think about Los Angeles, Pasadena, all these areas, they're like very scenic, very picturesque, and
Right.
now we see something in total contrast. Now, you mentioned you were doing some donations. So usually, families and people are displaced. They're in a state of stress, and they're just trying to figure things out. But you're actually doing something a little bit more different, altruistic. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is my city and this is my home. And, my wife and I have been here for about 11 plus years. I'm born and raised in the Los Angeles area. And so we wanted to do something to give back. And as soon as some of the other volunteers from BAPS Charities started reaching out, like, hey, we're going to respond. We're going to get some stuff together. We're going to, come out to your area and also the Los Angeles area. It's like, let's start figuring out where we can donate. My wife and I drove back. As soon as they called, we started going to all the donation services. Like, what do you guys need? Well, what are you guys looking for? What do you have plenty of? What do you need more of? And so that's what we did. We had procured pallets of items like water bottles, Gatorade, snacks, you name it, but also first aid kits, wipes, hygiene, and like toiletry items, you name it, blankets, sleeping bags. We just procured a bunch of that just to initially start getting aid out wherever we can. So we went basically to about three or four places. We're like, what do you guys need? What is it? And then that way we can start allocating stuff accordingly. And then while we're there talking to them, we're seeing so many other people get together. I mean, the community has really come together here in Pasadena for Pasadena Altadena. And I can only speak to this because this is where I've been coming to come, donate, drop off, do whatever I can. But I'm sure it's going on all over Southern California and LA. So we asked, and then, like, of course, items came up that we might just be overlooking. So, we got a list of those items, and those items are like wipes, like dude wipes, I mean, like bath wipes, because there's no showers at a convention center. So you have a bunch of
So
people
there's
that are
people
displaced.
staying at convention centers
Yeah, the
and
Pasadena
oh,
Convention Center. Yeah,
really?
sleeping on cots. And that's another thing about sleeping on cots, We're getting blanket and sleeping bag donations, but they're not getting pillow donations. So it's a little uncomfortable. So this drop off that I did literally just had, I took my parents' SUV and I filled it up with pillows, literally pillows, like a bunch of pillows. We did an online order at Walmart and then picked it up. The staff even came out with carts and carts of pillows. We just shoved it all into the back of the cart. And then also like some sanitary items for women, wipes, of course, like I said, baby wipes, just like adult wipes, like just so that people can at least feel somewhat fresh, being stuck in a convention center because they've lost their place. And we just took it down the street and donated all that.
So how do you see I mean, this sounds like these are all the essentials that we take for granted on a daily basis. And, you have to think about all the things. What has the response been? Because I assume the city's getting involved, the state's getting involved, the federal government's getting involved. How do, like charities like BAPS Charities, other charities kind of make a mark? Do you think it makes a mark?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Actually, the way that we initially got involved was another city in Orange County contacted BAPS Charities to say, "Hey, what's going on in the greater LA area and how can we help?" Another city in California reached out to BAPS Charities. I mean, that's amazing. And that really shows you how much people believe in BAPS Charities and the work that we're doing, right? And so the city contacted us and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" We're like, "Hey, this is the things that we're looking into. What are you guys thinking about? Hey, these are the things that we want to donate that we have and that, we'll send over to you guys to start doing drop-offs." And so we were able to mobilize everything that we were able to give out these last few days of donations very quickly, not only through partners, but also through volunteers and partners like other cities, not just other charities. So it's a really
Can you
good
tell
mark
us
that we've
about
made.
some of the other volunteers and what they're doing? Like, is this like everyone's doing this together, or is everyone kind of like dividing and
Yeah.
conquering?
Yeah, it's kind of like both, right? Because I mean, you gotta kind of do it in a strategic thing where like people are reaching out to different areas to see what the needs are. But at the same time, you need to work together so we're not overlapping and then using up resources that we have or items that we've collected or gotten in kind or that we've procured, and making sure that we don't over or like be over ambitious with what we have. So we have teams that are reaching out to the LA area items, which is like probably I guess like LA meaning like the city limits, and then like the greater LA County fires like this one in Pasadena, Altadena area called Eaton Fire. So we're reaching out, getting out items to them, and then we're also working with other like area, I guess like other distribution centers kind of where they're gathering stuff. Like the Dream Center is a big one. The one that I just dropped off at right now is called Nativo. It's in Highland Park. So we're also reaching out to them. And the way that we're being strategic about it is again back to what I said. The first day was kind of like, okay, what are the essentials that we can get out? But now it's more like, okay, what everybody is donating. I mean, we're seeing lines like when we're at Pasadena Convention Center, that line was almost half a mile of just regular cars, like not like big U-Hauls or anything. Just people going to Costco, buying toilet paper, and then like, what can I do with this? Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean
So
it's a tragedy, but it brings people together. I mean, I'm on the I think it's bapscharities.org. SoCal Strong, is that it? Is that the
yeah, SoCal Strong. Yeah, that's the official
and
hashtag.
so far, I mean, obviously this is going to be updated, but by the time we're recording, 2,000 water bottles, Gatorade, bars of soap, 400 shampoo bottles, 500 toothbrushes, and the list keeps going on and on and on. Times two for the two different donation sites, which I think is pretty cool. Now, you like if this was not going on today, what would your day would have looked like? Because I understand you work for a big company in
Yeah,
product,
yeah.
so this is like a big change from what you usually do on a day-to-day basis. Am I
Oh yeah,
correct?
definitely, definitely. Yeah. I mean, our offices have been closed. I work for the Walt Disney Company. I'm a product manager there in the music supply chain. Yeah, it probably would have been working. It probably would have been a regular day full of meetings and stand up and whatnot and status reports, picking up the kids from school, just hanging out with them. But yeah, today's been very different for sure.
Yeah. So, there's things that we see on the news, and we get like this view depending on what channel we're watching, what view we have. And you mentioned reporters in certain places sitting there. But what is it really like on the ground?
Oh, yeah, I mean it's different. Like you can just tell my voice is nasally, my throat is itchy, I'm coughing. It's the smog is almost unbearable. Um and it just looks different. Like, you're used to a nice, Pasadena's a pretty busy city, but we live in a nice quiet neighborhood. Palm trees lined up. Like you said, it's very scenic. You see beautiful mountains in the background. And right now it's just smog. It's like a rusty red color constantly. The sun, is shining through a big cloud. There's debris everywhere. I mean, when we talk about debris, these winds were nuts, right? So like there's tree branches, all sorts of stuff. I mean, I remember Tuesday night was our normal, like Wednesday mornings our trash pickup. So all of us had rolled down our trash cans onto the street. I went out like 10 minutes later to walk my dog, and my trash can was like two doors down. I had to like go get it and put all the stuff back in and then roll it back. So that's how strong the winds were. And then we decided, hey, we'll just roll it out Wednesday morning, not knowing that we wouldn't be here. Right. So it's been crazy. Like when you go out, you step out, you don't ever imagine something like this ever happening, but it is, and it's nuts. And when those fires started out, you can see, like, as it got bigger and bigger, and we decided that we were gonna evacuate even before we got the warning to evacuate, it was just ungodly, like the type of scene it was. It was just like all these lines of fire. It looked like lava was coming down a mountain. That's how red it was. So yeah, stepping outside has been definitely a different feeling than what we're used to. Even into January, you're kind of expecting sun, beautiful 65-degree weather, a couple clouds in the sky, and right now it's far from that.
So from a personal level, just this is just asking your honest answer on this is like why take the time to give back like you are right now? You
Yeah,
have your family, you have your daughters staying at your parents' place. Like, why not just be in the comfort of that versus what you're doing on the ground right now at this
no.
moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, I think about it two ways. What would Bapa do? What would Pramuk Samaraj do? And the joy of others lies our own. And then the second thing is, what would my neighbors do for me if I was in this situation? The combination of those two things is why that pushes my wife and I to come back out here. Almost, I think we've been back here almost every day doing a donation drop off of some sort, to come here and do that and do whatever we can, right? Like, I mean, right now they're not collecting hot food or anything like that. But if it takes us to like cook something for a group of fellow vegetarians, then we'll do it, right? Like whatever's required. So that's it's just anything inherent when you're part of BAPS and BAPS charities. But also at the same time, you look at your neighbors, and these are people that you've been living next to for a while, and they're the people of your community. Then you want to do something as soon as you can to give back.
Well, that's why I'm wearing this shirt, man. Giving versus getting. Like this is actually
100%.
a BAPS charity shirt from a walk. What's interesting is BAPS charity is very involved in disaster relief, whether it was the hurricanes or whether it was, it's right now with these fires or whether internationally
Right.
earthquake relief. I think it's pretty cool how volunteers mobilize so quickly and really put themselves out there, put themselves out in danger zones and put
Mhm.
themselves out where they kind of put their needs aside to really get going. And I agree, it's in the joy of others. I think it's in our DNA,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
To think that way. And I think, I want to give you kudos. I know you're very busy right now with everything you're doing from a charitable standpoint, giving back standpoint, taking the time, you know, to talk to us. But last question here. How do you think you will stay mentally strong? Because what you're seeing right now and experiencing can be very traumatic mental wise. So, whether it's at work or personally, or now when you have this traumatic experience, how do you see yourself kind of moving past this, once everything kind of clears?
Yeah, no, was something I've been wondering too. Like, what is the recovery side of this look like? And we're a resilient bunch. I think us as a country, we're resilient. Californians are, resilient. Angelinos are resilient. And so I think, what we're going to be able to do is only build back better. And that's, I think right now, that's my guiding light. It's like, we have this opportunity in front of us where, yes, we've lost a lot. It's devastating, but we're gonna come together and we're gonna build this community back up and make it even better than it was before.
So, we're all part of your community. You mentioned, you would want your neighbors to help. I know there's the BAPScharities.org/SoCal Strong site where we can all go donate. What else can we do?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, awareness as well, right? Like, I don't think people don't know what exactly to do right now. Like we had somebody, I've been at these donation sites and we had people just roll up, with the DoorDash order. Like, here you go, here's some food. And, like I've seen some people donate like frozen peas or salads. And it's just like, well, these people don't have an area to cook. And so the best thing that you honestly could do is donate monetary, because charities like BAPS Charities is contacting other charities, these shelters, donation centers, whatever it is, and asking those questions like, what do you need? And then we're making the moves to get those items to those charities as fast as possible. So if you're not in the Los Angeles area and you're not able to donate or volunteer like items, then I would strongly suggest please go to the website that you had mentioned, bapscharities.org, SoCal Strong, and then donate what you can.
Well, Yogan, stay strong. Best wishes for you, your family, your community. And I'll end with any final thoughts that you may have.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, thank you everybody for the support. We've been getting a lot of messages from all over the US, from the greater BAPS community, but also others that have been in contact with anybody. And then, we're getting a lot of support from all over, with well wishes and giving us kind words and thoughts and prayers and everything. And it just means a lot. And thank you, everybody. I don't know what else to say. Kind of getting speechless here. I just want to show my love back and thank you all for the support.
Hey, listen, we appreciate everything you're doing for your community, and we are inspired to support you and the entire community. So, SoCal Strong.
SoCal Strong.